want to build something that can contribute to what you believe your family's mission is, then Geronimo, amen, and go for it.
Chris and Chris Talk Business.
Hello, welcome to the Chris and Chris Show, and we talk business here. And I'm Chris, and
I'm Chris.
Yeah, so this is a cause for confusion for a lot of folks. Now, if you hear noises in the background, that's because my grandchildren are back there, and they are happy about things. We've got Ross Harris with us today, and he's got a great story concerning a business that he's begun. So, Ross, please introduce yourself to us.
My name is Russ Harris. I am the president and CEO of Woodland Football Club, which is a elite amateur / semi-pro men's soccer team in Shawnee, Kansas.
Great, but you're also a guy with a day job. Can you tell us what the day job is?
Yeah, I am my 9 to 5, I work for the United States Postal Service as a rural regular carrier. I do a lot of driving, not a lot of walking, but a lot of driving. We jokingly call the Postal Service the family business because my dad did it for over 40 years, and now I'm just about in my 10th year.
Well, you know, the reason I wanted you to tell people that, not just because it's a remarkable sort of juxtaposition to the business that you own, but it tells, I think, an important story, and that is that you can do something like this and still keep your day job, at least for a while. And I think it's worth knowing. Yeah,
it's not always easy, and it's a lot of long nights. It's a 9 to 5 and a 5 to 11 often between both jobs, and it's something that we often have. It was a lot of figuring out the skill sets that I had and the things that God had given me, and taking the life experiences that God had brought me through, and bit of a funny story of how it all came about, but what could have been a very bad circumstance forced me to use the skill sets and experiences that I had gained throughout my life to apply it to this, and hopefully building it into something my son can inherit one day.
Now, tell us about that, though. So you've hinted at a few things in terms of, you know, how this came about. How did it come about? What can you share with us?
Yeah, so I'm a third generation soccer guy. My family's from the Netherlands. That detail will probably come up a lot throughout this interview, but my family's history is very important to me. One of the greatest gifts I've ever been given is on my wife's and my wedding day. My grandmother gave me a book with our family's history going back to the 1500s, and we are able to read and celebrate the stories and accomplishments of our family from way back when. I'm actually wearing this soccer jersey I have on. This is a soccer jersey. It actually tells a story about my family.
Cool.
And my family, we can talk more about that later too, but since soccer is the main sport that people play over there, my grandmother played it in college. My dad played it in college. They were both first-team All-Americans. I played in college at Calvary University. I was a first-team All-American there and won a national championship in 2012. Had the opportunity to play semi-pro when I was about 17 years old. I was offered a deal with a team in near Chicago, a town called Skokie. With the team up there, but all their games were Sunday morning. And my dad didn't directly tell me, no, you can't do that. But he kind of gave me that look that said, you need to make a good choice here. And I knew at that point, I needed that soccer was important, but it wasn't all consuming for me. So I decided to turn down the deal so that I could maintain my Sunday responsibilities of worship and going to church and honoring my father and mother and what they had raised me in. But college came calling, so I went to Calvary University. They're a Division II Christian college, and did well there. Like I said, All-American there. Won the national, was captain of our national championship team in 2012. Incredible year. It was the first time in 31 years that our school had won a national title. And after my wife and I got married going into my junior year, our junior year, and then our son was born going into our senior year. And so that was pretty hectic, both of us being full-time students, myself being captain of the team and working multiple jobs, and being the president of our class, and just a lot of things on our plate.
Well, that's actually, that helps to explain things. You're used to being kind of a multitasker.
Yeah, I was grateful for my homeschool education, actually. I wasn't grateful in the moment when I was being homeschooled, but I didn't, because I'm a very social person. I like to be around people. But what I learned in hindsight was that God was preparing me for a life of being a self-starter and being someone to be an autodidact and teaching myself how to learn and grow and develop on my own. And it's become more apparent every single day as time goes by. And so after we graduated, both of us, I decided to just focus on being dad and husband. And about 3 years, that was back in 2014. So fast forward to now 3 years ago, I'm playing soccer at my alma mater, getting them ready for a preseason and just being helpful and doing what I can to help break in the new class of freshmen. And I end up breaking my arm in that scrimmage. Man. And as you know, I'm a mailman, so I need my arm to do things. And so I was
in soccer.
right. So I decided, the realization hit me, I'm going to be home for 6 weeks and I can't really do anything work related. So how do I be a good example to my kids now that we have a daughter now too? How do I be a good example to my kids and show them that dad still has to be productive even when he can't go to work? He still has to be a producer. So I decided to take stock of the skill sets that I'd acquired. What am I good at? What do I know? What do I want to build? And what do I want to build in terms of when making a plan, how can I measure this plan in centuries and not just days and months and years? So having put 30 plus years of my life into soccer and studying the game and having piles of notebooks back at my parents' house of strategy and formations and notes, and watching games, even in high school, watching games frame by frame, just studying like an NFL coach, trying to get better and improve. Decided to get off the field and become an administrator. And a new league was starting here in Kansas City that was focused on just teams here in the city, with each team located in a different suburb or borough out here. And since I worked out in the city of Shawnee in the post office there, I decided to establish the team out at the field that we actually played at our first 2 years was on my mail route. And it happened to be providential that worked out. And I got the idea while I was driving down Woodland Drive in Shawnee, which is where the name of the team came from, Woodland FC.
Gotcha. That's cool. So we met when I was speaking at a church in Leavenworth, mm-hmm. and you suggested we get together for breakfast. And we went to this really cool breakfast place with your family, and my wife was with us. And you told me this story, and I was like, I can't believe this. This is kind of nuts, but nuts in a good way.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. And I have a background in soccer, but not nearly as accomplished as you've been. And so I was kind of intrigued for that reason as well. So anyway, this was a lot of fun to think about. Tell us how the team is doing. And I'm also interested in getting into the details about how do you make something like that happen, So, both of us, Chris and Chris, we don't have any.
I got tons of questions. Yeah, I have no idea how you do this, but I got tons of questions.
I still have questions.
Yeah. So kind of fill us in a little more, and I'm going to let Flugstadt, just so people know the other Chris is going to be asking questions. I'm going to let him grill you a little bit because I think that'll be good.
So I understand there's this new league that forms. Were all the teams that joined this league, were they new teams, or do teams exist and then they come into this league? How does that work?
So when the league first formed in end of 2023, it was comprised of 9 other teams that were just starting for the first time as well. So it just, again, God's hilarious timing. It happened to be that there were 9 other men throughout the city who happened to be starting teams at the same time. And Kansas City is such a hotbed of soccer that we're learning that that's not that far-fetched a thing. It seems like new teams keep cropping up regularly now, especially with World Cup fever happening. But that league was the Select League, and it played its first season in 2024, which we were the winners of that league that season, and then runners-up in 2025.
Okay.
And these teams are players, are they paid? Is it, I don't want to say like, is it like rec league? Like how would you describe this?
Yeah, so I would say that the Select League, the first year, was a very glorified rec league. We did have some players with above rec experience, though, especially my team. The first player I recruited to my team was a guy who was raised he played semi-pro for 10 years and had experience in the Olympic development program. He played Division I soccer, but he was at a place in life where he was on the downturn of getting ready to hang up his boots. And he's a guy who was raised in a Christian home, but was in a rocky relationship with God, he would say, at the time when he called me. And when we talked on the phone for about 30 minutes, and then we got coffee for about an hour after that, he realized that he needed a guy like me to get him back on the right path. So he joined up with me, even though we were at the time way below his playing experience and stature. But he wanted the experience, or he wanted the culture that we were building with the team. And he just so happened to know so many high quality dudes in the city that were comparable skill level to his. And in terms of experience, we just had a big edge on recruiting that first year. And then the rest of the league in year 2 caught up. And so we started to get more Division II college players and high level NAIA players entering the scene. Now in year 3, we've gone from having a bunch of low Division II guys to now we have Division I players on our team. And guys, I think we have 14 different countries represented on our roster right now. Guys from England, Switzerland, Spain, Italy, you name it. It's a very broad and diverse roster, and the conversations are pretty fun at times between all the different languages going around. But having a consistent team culture of people know what to expect as far as what I allow and what I don't allow.
Yeah, that's great. So for folks who are unfamiliar with the term semi-pro, what does that mean? So would you consider this league now semi-pro?
Yeah, so the league itself, blanket statement, considers itself elite amateur, meaning the players by and large are not paid. We do have opportunity. They allow players to get paid in this league, but in that instance, you then be listed as semi-pro. My stance is always players are never, we can never guarantee pay right now. We're only in year 3. But if there is stuff left over at the end of the year, we try to ration that out to the players of what they've helped bring in. And we've been able to do that every year so far without fail.
Well, that's great. So you're in the black, which is a really positive thing. And when we talked, I got the sense that you were connected to other sort of levels in the world of soccer. Is that right?
Yeah. So we have connections with. I'll give this explanation for Chris Flugstad. In the U.S., there's the what's called the soccer pyramid, and that's common throughout various other continents and countries of the world. At the top of the U.S. soccer pyramid, you have Major League Soccer, And then below that, you have United Soccer League, or USL. That's an acronym that will come up a lot in this discussion today. And then you have the USL Championship, USL 1, and then USL 2 in Tier 3. And then we would be in the Midwest Premier League, which is the league we're in now, the Midwest Premier League. We would be in the 4th tier of U.S. soccer. So we're in the lowest tier of semi-pro play.
But players would have the opportunity to be identified and maybe recruited and move up. Is that right?
Yes. So yeah, we have some of the relationships we have with teams in the city. We have a few sister clubs throughout the city that we've partnered with. One of them being Sunflower State Football Club, which plays in Kansas City, ironically Kansas City, Missouri. But they participate in the USL 2, which is that tier just above us. And between the two of us, the Sunflower State program has just had a player this last year drafted into Major League Soccer. And we had one player that trained with us just get signed to a contract in Germany in a lower division. And we also had a guy who trained with us and who played for Sunflower State that just signed his second professional contract in New Zealand.
So this is part of a feeder system, and you guys are part of kind of a going concern, and there are lots of opportunities for growth and advancement. One of the things, that intrigues me about what goes on in, say, the UK, where you have, basically in the Premier League, the lower 3 teams get dropped down to the next level, and the top teams in the lower division can come up. Is there anything like that? I mean, could you imagine your club, in other words, moving up in this hierarchy?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we were in the first 2 years, we were in the Select League, and because of our success and the way we presented and carried ourselves, we were actually headhunted by the Midwest Premier League. They wanted us to join their league, and which is a step up. And so we took that jump in year 3, and we're in that. This is our first year in that league right now, the season we're currently in. And in terms of promotion and relegation in the Midwest Premier League, they have that. And our conference here in Kansas City, which is the Gateway West Conference, the Gateway East is in St. Louis. The goal for all the conferences in the Midwest Premier League is to eventually have promotion and relegation within that. And then we are not part of the Major League Soccer tiers, so to speak. Major League Soccer doesn't have promotion and relegation, which is one reason why we're not wanting to go that path ever. Even if someone offered me a Major League Soccer franchise tomorrow, I wouldn't do it, just because there's no defined system for rewarding excellence in Major League Soccer, and there's no downside to being bad at it. That's one reason why I mentioned the United Soccer League and the USL. Through all their leagues, even down to us, they have promotion and relegation throughout all of it. So we're trying to link up to that program, because I want my guys to know that every game, no matter what, whether you're in first or in last, every game matters. Every result matters, because I think it's a very Christian endeavor as well. I never want to play a meaningless game. Right.
So for those who are listening to the show, what we're talking about, maybe one way to make it understandable is imagine the bottom 3 teams in Major League Baseball become minor league teams because they finished at the very bottom of the league. And so you have maybe the Boston Red Sox, who are playing awful this year, relegated to, AAA ball. And then you have the Paw Sox, who are the team that is their, AAA affiliate, move up because maybe they're, atop of their league. That's how things work in the Premier League in the UK. And I guess the reason why we don't do that in the United States is is a team like Boston doesn't want to like ever run the risk of maybe stepping down into like the second or third tier of Major League Baseball.
And it's a lot of risk by the owners of the clubs, because when you go, anytime you go down a league, especially, people treat it, and it's I think it's because of the way we treat sports here in America, where we have something like minor league. They don't have that in any other country in the world. When it comes to soccer, they don't call them minor leagues. It's just a different league. I don't know if you're familiar with the story of the Welsh football club right now, Wrexham.
Yeah, I remember there was a movie about it, wasn't it?
It's a documentary series now.
Okay.
They were bought by Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. And when they were purchased by them, they were in the lowest tier of professional soccer in England. What that would be, in our sense, that would be Division 5.
Yeah, wow.
Since they took over in 2020, they've now risen to the 4 divisions just to the league below the Premier League.
Wow.
So they've climbed a total of, I think, 100 spots in England's total football pyramid.
Wow.
And that's kind of what the U.S. is trying to replicate now. The former head of the Premier League came over to the United States to take over the United Soccer League.
Okay.
So that system is trying to be replicated here now.
Interesting. Now, since this is a business show and not just sort of a hobby show, how do you make money?
Great question. So a lot of our budget is covered by the businesses that sponsor us. They use us for advertising and marketing. They pay us to put their business on the front of our jersey, on the sleeves of our jerseys, some on the back of our jersey, some on the shorts of us. We put up signs for them at our games at the stadium. We run ads for them during our broadcasts, and we do social media campaigns for them as well. We kind of just do whatever we can. We run youth camps and youth clinics where we can teach kids skills or just get kids into around good soccer players, getting taught by them. Very reasonable cost on that, but the way we market it always is we can get your logo out to about 2 million or more, between 2 to 6 million people a year, just by putting your stuff on our uniforms and by the high quality social media that we run.
Yeah, and again, this kind of ties into the culture that you're trying to build. I mean, you want to be a certain kind of club with a kind of a sense of purpose and a sense that there's standards that you guys are trying to meet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've had a lot of businesses reach out to us that, well, I know Christianity is not an ideology. I would say they don't align with our ideology on what we want to be as a club. And there are times where we've had to turn away monies because they came from what I would consider a corrupt source.
Yeah, you wouldn't want like something like, I don't know, OnlyFans.
Right.
You wouldn't want their logo on your jersey, right?
Yeah, especially with a group of young men wearing it, that would not be a good marketing tool. But it's all about we've been very grateful for the businesses that have worked with us, that they are men of integrity and men of character. And when we recruit a player, we go off of what I call the 3 abilities when it comes to recruiting them. The first is respectability, because we have a lot of fans who come to our games, but they're also usually around my wife and kids a lot, be it practices or at games. And if I can't trust you, if you're a terrible person, no matter how good you are, I don't want you around. And second, it's availability. Do you respond? Do you communicate? Do you answer a call or respond to a text? Then if you can do that, then you're pretty responsible. And then the actual ability, are you any good at the game? Because if you don't have the first 2, then the third one doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Do you feel at a point in the sort of the course of this business development that you've been tempted to maybe make a little compromise on that last point? Like you've had just this really great guy, but these other 2 questions are still kind of looming over
Yeah,
his head?
there's always great players that are very fond of themselves. I'll put
Yeah.
it that way. But whenever the opportunity has come for us we think there might be an issue, we've communicated that to them and told them they're on a probationary period with the team, because the good thing about being us right now is, at least in Kansas City, we're known for being one of the top teams in the city, even after only 3 years. And when people come to us, they leave teams that they've been on or near for a while, or team players have even dropped down a league to come to us because they love our culture and love how we treat players. We're famous for treating players well.
That's great. So, Chris, you have any more questions that you're kind of like, chomping at the bit to ask?
I mean, do you think that the U.S. soccer culture will change to the pyramid like it is abroad? I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the idea of, because the way, unless I got it wrong, like our Major League Soccer team right now, like where I used to grow up, Seattle, they had the Sounders. They can't. I think it's the Sounders.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is. I've been away for a minute, but like they can't not be the Major League team, or can they? I feel like they couldn't just be demoted.
Correct.
But is that the way it should? That's the way that the UK system works, or is it UK or European?
It's anywhere but the US.
Anywhere but the US. So do you think that they will make it like that, and will that benefit your league because it's kind of a merit-based system then?
Yeah, so in Major League Soccer, there's no relegation or promotion whatsoever.
Okay.
It functions very similarly to every other major American sport, where you purchase a franchise or purchase a spot, or the team changes owners, but the teams never leave. Now, as far as the U.S. getting to that point, in 1950, the U.S. men's national team coach, and his name escapes me right now, but Bill Jeffries, I actually think his name was. He said to his players, Walter Barr, one of his guys from the East Coast, he said to him that America would not be competitive in a World Cup for at least 50 years, back in 1950. Now, in 1950 World Cup, the U.S. beat England shockingly 1-0 in Brazil in the group stage, and that was the last time the U.S. beat England. Now, 52 years later, the U.S. made it to the quarterfinals of the World Cup in South Korea, and that was the best result the U.S. has ever had to date. As far as the U.S. adopting a promotion relegation system fully that's well working, functioning, and the teams are all well supported, I view that similarly to kind of what I would view an education reform or an abolishing of public schools. It can't happen overnight, and it's probably going to take about 100 years of faithfulness for that to happen.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great to have a situation where, say, this other sort of system is working, and at the very top level, you have teams that are not only competing at the same level as Major League Soccer, but perhaps even challenging Major League Soccer for attention, just because the quality of the game is so good. That'd be a wonderful thing. Again, that's maybe 100 years in the future or whatever for that to happen. Now, let's bring it back to you and your club. I from the sounds of it, Ross, you're a planner. You think about things. You've got, I'm guessing, a set of goals that you're trying to achieve or reach. So, what are those goals, if you're comfortable sharing them, and what do you hope for in the next, say, 10 years?
Yeah, great questions. So our first goal, or let me rephrase that, our most immediate goal is getting our youth academy up and running so that we can start coaching and training up soccer players in the way they should go. We believe that our system and our way of doing things is good. And we're trying to actually replicate the European model now in our own club. Youth soccer in America is backwards. And I say that because the youth fund the adult programs by and large. Everywhere else in the world, the adult funds the youth programs. And so we're trying, that's the reason we started with a men's program and not with a youth program. We want the men's program to be what supports the youth, so that we can tell people when they're signing their kid up, there's a chance that they can go from cradle to career in our program. So this fall, we're actually starting our first ever youth teams. We have, I think, 25 kids currently signing up to create, I think, 3 different teams, but we're hoping to get at least 3 teams started this fall. And it's going to be rough the first few years. We know it will be. And we are ready to take some lumps early. And we know we're getting kids that have largely no experience whatsoever and don't even know the rules to the game. But the good part of that is we're not getting kids with bad habits.
Right.
We're not getting kids who already know everything.
Right.
We're able to form them and start from a blank canvas and teach them the Woodland way from the ground up. So I would say from the most immediate goal and then moving on from there for the next eternity would be getting the youth program set up and running so that it's competent and competitive with local leagues, and that the city sees it as a necessary asset to the youth. And then after that, it's with the men's team. By 2030, we want to have been champion at least a few times of the Midwest Premier League, and potentially have the opportunity to move up to the next league where we are sustainable in that league as well, because the cost to moving up to a next league, the road trips are farther, the competition is heavier, the stadium demands increase and stadium rentals aren't cheap, and broadcasting requirements get tougher the higher you go. The nickels and dimes get heavier the further up you go, even though it is much more fun the further you climb. I would say by 2036, a 10-year goal, I would like to say that we've sent 5 players to the top tier of the United Soccer League, and that we've developed a network where we have half of our teams supplied by, or half of our men's first team supplied directly by kids that have grown up through our youth system.
So, this is a very labor-intensive process, and a lot of what's, I think, at work here is just love of the game. In terms of your own sort of business aspirations, if you don't mind getting into those, is there a point in the future where you say, when we get to this place, I don't need to be a mailman anymore? Right? If you get my drift.
Yeah, that would be. I would love for that to happen when we can have. What I've told my wife is when we can have a registrar, a full-time coach to manage both the men's team and some of the youth program, and a general manager. When those 3 guys are funded and we can add 1 more, that is when I will become a full-time CEO. But I've also resigned myself to the fact that I am perfectly content with working at the post office the rest of my life and setting the club up for my son to inherit when he turns 18, and it can be his career.
So are there other people like you that are further along in this journey that you look to and talk to?
Yes, some really great guys. The first one would be Sonny D'Alessandro, who is the owner of Tulsa Athletic in Oklahoma. He was our first opponent when we played in the U.S. Open Cup in qualifiers. His team battered us 8-0, and his team has also been around 5 times as long as ours has. And he's built one of the best clubs in the Midwest, and they're in the league directly above us right now. and his team made it to the semifinal in overtime of the national championship for that league last year. One of the greatest soccer games I've ever watched. And I actually just spent about an hour and a half with him when he was in town playing another team in our area. We were able to sit and watch the game together, and I just got to pick his brain. And he's been absolutely vital to how I've been building the club. And he's another dual career guy like me. So he understands exactly where I'm coming from and the rigors that come with it. And the other one would be our current league commissioner, Zach Fisher. He's one of those guys that is good with power. He doesn't love it, but loves to check on people, loves to use it as a way to help people and not as a tyrant.
Well, that's great. Any thoughts or questions, Flugstad?
I got tons of ideas, but I mean, you just stated two guys in addition to yourself, and I'm just looking from the outside in. I'm new to this, but I do have to say, you guys are truly like pioneers, patriots to what it is you're building. I love it. I mean, I think you will have blessings to come, as you know. I'm sure you feel blessed now, but there's nothing that can stop you. Like you are in it for the right reasons. You see the long game. You're self-funded. You know, there's no, and you're self-funded with the USPS job, which I could be wrong, but I think it's impossible to get fired from those jobs. So, you know, like
I don't take a chance.
No, but I really love this story because I think it shows you and these other men that you've noted. I'm sure there's other in the journey that are really fighting for this really noble outcome, this really noble vision. And I love it. I mean, I really do. I want, you know, 20 years back, 20 years from now, you know, to Wiley's point of like, I wonder if it could just, you know, and you're kind of saying the capitalist just got rid of the major league and the USL became essentially the top tier league. I think I do believe it's not just possible, it could be probable. You guys keep on this mission as you are in 20 years or less. I think the culture could drastically change to the point where people will just, the USL will be the top tier league. Even if the major league still existed, it would just be, you know, maybe by that time it just is kind of like WWE or something. You know, it's like it exists. They can claim that they're the best or the majors, but people don't consider it, you know, the premier soccer experience. And I don't think it's just like you're trying to do that. I see that you are doing that, and the method of which you are doing that is you have such a stronghold foundation of the things that I stated. And I think everybody has listened to this story so far is like, would probably come to that same conclusion. And I say that because I believe it, and I hope it encourages you. And I love that. I mean, we need more people in the world doing, you know, things that they believe are going to make the world a better place. And clearly you believe this. I mean, you're fighting a good fight, and I can just see it. It's very apparent. So thank you for that. First off, I don't know. I'm gonna have to like write all my questions down, Wiley, and do a follow-up email because I can't decide if this is. I mean, it is business, but I mean, you're thinking of like you're building the foundation for people decades from now of having prosperous, super valuable entities. I mean, I think you're not even worried about that now because it's not even on your horizon. And I mean, that's a level 5 leadership, man. You're killing it from that aspect. And so, I mean, sorry, go Wiley. I'm going to start crying here.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that thing maybe that's intriguing about this in another sense is maybe there's some guy out there who's thinking about a different sport that he's tied into. There's something about the soccer kind of scene that makes this, I think, more likely to be the case than, say, other sports that we're familiar with, because those other sports are so fully established, and breaking in is the challenge. Whereas here, this is really building it from the grassroots up, generation by generation. And one of the things, too, about this strategy that you've employed, and it's not original to you, because I know that this is the way it's done around the world, but it's new to America, is in building, these youth clubs that are tied to the older club. You're basically building your fan base as well. I mean, the not just the kids, but the families, all of these people who are associated with these youth leagues are going to see your club as their club. So that's great too.
Yeah, so I think soccer thrives a lot, and soccer functions so differently from any other sport because a lot of its history is founded deeply in guys from Sunday school. When you look back in the late 1800s, when Liverpool, Sunderland, Manchester United, Newcastle, when all these men coming out of the muscular Christianity movement,
I didn't know that.
They were wanting to find ways to keep themselves healthy and active after their jobs, and that's how football was started. That's why the football clubs were formed. It was men in Sunday schools. And that made its way over to guys like Teddy Roosevelt, obviously, who was a big proponent of health and physical activity.
Right.
And you look at Scotland, with especially their leagues, the clubs are directly linked to different sects of Christianity. You have the great Scottish team like Celtic. They're the Scottish Catholics, and you had their rivalry with Rangers in Glasgow, and then in Edinburgh you have Heart of Midlothian, two of the Protestant clubs, and those rivalries are fueled largely by religious sectarianism.
Interesting. I knew that those countries had a long history of sectarian rivalry, but I had no idea that they were connected to the soccer clubs that you just named, because I know those are familiar names to anybody that's aware of what's going on in that part of the world. Now, in terms of the Dutch, so you're Dutch, and now Harris never strikes me as it doesn't strike me as a Dutch name, so it'd be interesting to get into that, because one of the things about people who have emigrated to the United States is they've changed their names. So I have a lot of German in my family history, but you would never know because all the names were changed. Right. Is that the same story for you?
Yes. The oldest name we have is Rolfs Hartlief, or Hartlief. He was a tanner in the northern province of Groningen, and there was a lot of patronymics back then. A lot of the kids were named after their dad or their mother. And it went from Hartlief to Spoelma or Spoelman, the Spoel, which is more of where the Dutch side comes from, to the Hages. And when in the States, my dad's side married into the Harris family, which is from Wales.
Yeah, well, that would have been my guess, is that it was a UK thing. Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned the shirt, though, that you're wearing. Yeah. So is there actually a club in the Netherlands that has a family connection?
Yeah, so this jersey is FC Groningen, which, again, province in the north. Our family was from a very small town in that province called Baflo. And in the mid-1600s, there was the Catholics, I think from Spain, the Catholics invaded. There's actually a holiday around it. August 28th, I believe, is the day. It's called Bom and Baron Day. But the way they invaded through the north and tried to take the Netherlands coming through Groningen. And the Dutch people there in the siege of Groningen, they hold themselves up in the walls around the city. And my family fought in those battles. Wow. And
that's a pretty famous. Yeah, it's a pretty famous event. Anybody who knows the history of the Netherlands is at least familiar with it. It was really starvation and all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar to the relief of Leyden later. And my family fought there and helped repel the Catholics and keep them from invading and conquering the Netherlands for another, I think, 100 years. But that's when they earned their nickname there. The people were, the Dutch phrase is Trotspan het Noorden, which means the pride of the North. And it's become this jersey was a commemoration specifically to it. Embossed in the fabric is, you can see the Catholic and Protestant armies marching toward each other. This was a jersey that the club itself put out 2 years ago, and even the work on the collar is an homage to the fortress walls that the people fought from.
Did they have like a match with a Spanish club that they?
That would be a real war. But no, it was a great commemoration of the event, and something that I was glad I was able to get a piece of to share with my kids. And we celebrate Bum and Baron Day every day. And there's actually a guy on our team, our men's team right now, who's from Groningen, and so we celebrate the holiday together.
So now this is something that it's a little off topic, but often Americans, expats from European countries, have a greater appreciation for the history of the country that they come from than the people who actually live there still.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's something you've witnessed.
It depends on where you're from. I think the guys who are from like the really prominent countries, your Spain, your Italy, your England, the countries with rich football heritage, those guys are very proud of where they're from, even though they are here. Yeah. I think the guys that don't have that, they came to America for a reason, as far in terms of education or in terms of playing time, which they might not have been able to get over there. So it's hit or miss depending on what country you're from.
Well, the Netherlands, of course, is a very strong power when it comes to soccer. A real shocker here the other day with the tie. But
I think Japan's going to do well in this tournament. I actually thought that was a very good result for the Dutch.
Oh, really? Okay. So I'm thinking about how good the teams have been in the past. So I've not been up to speed on things. But anyway. Anything else we want to get to that comes to mind, Flugstad? Anything that maybe again you've had a chance?
He's covered history over the last 1,000 years. He's covered the future of his league up to 2036. I understand the whole, the flaws of the U.S. soccer organization from a reward standpoint or a merit standpoint. I mean, I think there's other little questions, but I'm still just kind of blown away how, like, Ross, your heart in this is just, it's awesome. I mean, I'm still just, I'm just, my hat goes off to you, man. I feel like I want to get a plane full of people over to Kansas City just to come to a soccer game, just to show the support.
Now, when it comes to your jerseys and stuff, are they available for sale? If we had people say, man, I want to watch these guys or I want to follow this club, how would they do that?
Yeah, our kit supplier is right here, Diaza. They're an East Coast brand. I believe they're located in New York, but also New Jersey. But you guys know how that works out there. But they're East Coast brand, and you can find our jerseys at diaza.com and then search for the page of Woodland FC. And you'll find all of our gear, not just our jerseys, but also a bunch of other gear like these cool jackets and any other things, like even our cool hats too. So
now, do you guys get anything from these sales, or is it just the satisfaction of knowing that people are wearing your jerseys?
We do get compensation. We get 12% back of everything that is sold. And Diaza has been awesome for us. They also have outfitted our team for free for the next 3 years.
That's great. That's great. So, so if you were to have somebody come to you and say, your story is so great, Ross, and I really would like to do something similar, what would you say to that guy? I mean, how would you warn him away from it, or would you vet him in a certain way and say, yes or no? I mean, what would be your approach?
The first process would be, does your family support you in this? Because my wife and kids have been irreplaceable in this endeavor. When I mentioned earlier that we had my son during our senior year of college, and my wife had considered dropping out of school just because she's an elementary teacher, but she had considered dropping out of school just because of it was not going to be easy to finish with dealing with a newborn son. And I picked up some extra work and I encouraged her to stay in because, one, I didn't know if anything would happen to me. I wanted her to have that degree around just in case. Two, I knew that she was always born to be a teacher. It's one of her great gifts, and I wanted her to be able to teach our kids and knowing she finished. And three, she would be the first person in her family to finish college if she had done that. And I really wanted to encourage her in that and support her in that. And she sees this simply as her paying or supporting me now in something that I had put on hold for a bit. And so she's there every day, being in charge of our match day operations. She runs the camera for our games, and I can do the play-by-play now. I don't have to coach anymore. We have a guy doing that. And so I would say first of all, and our kids help with so many things around the field, just doing odds and ends stuff, making sure the little bits are taken care of.
Yeah, it's really a family business.
It is. And we try to make it as fun as we can with lots of ice cream and lots of rewards for them helping.
Right, sure.
Because I never want it to feel like a millstone around them while they're helping at such a young age. But so I would start there. Does your family support you? Because I've seen numerous guys start out when their family doesn't support them, and it's failed miserably for all parties involved.
Yeah.
And the next thing I would challenge them to do is see if there's already something that exists that they could purchase and start with that. If I could do it all over again, I probably wouldn't start from the ground up.
Yeah,
that's been really difficult. But and then I would ask them what their end goal is. What's the telos to it all? What are they trying to accomplish with it? Is it just a hobby? If it's just a hobby, then just play and don't run it.
Right.
But if it's something that you feel like you want to build something that can contribute, can make a difference, or can contribute to what you believe your family's mission is, then Geronimo, amen, and go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, those are great points. Now, related to the family business element, because you're trying to build a program with high character and high quality people, you've got a lot of uncles that your kids are around, so to speak. There are guys that they can maybe enjoy being around as they participate in helping out with the program. And then you're building an asset. It's an asset that has value, and like you noted earlier, it's something that you want to pass on, which is great. We need more intergenerational thinking, people thinking in those ways. That's good stuff.
I also got to give you points for that last point you made about what is the end goal, and then you followed up with what I would argue is a completely valid response to that, which is, if it's in line with your family's mission. Just yesterday, someone was asking me where do I find if I want to go buy a company? And, part of me is kind of like, why do you want to start a company? Or what kind of company you want to start? And their answers, I know it's coming when they respond with, I want something that's just going to make money.
Yeah. Right.
And part of me is just like, I don't know how to even reply to you at that point, because I don't know what you're trying to do.
Right.
I get where they're at, but it's the wrong fuel. It's the wrong solution fuel to their problem. Your answer was spot on. And I would hope that, and if people can't, they got to go back a couple minutes back to hear your response. Right. And apply that to their mission, I think. So thanks again for that.
Yeah, creating value, is kind of the larger point. And value can be monetized, or at least an attempt at it can be made. But the value should always be of a character that can't be reduced to dollars and cents. Like we were talking to you about your business, Chris, when you started it. I had the sense that, in terms of the value that you believed it possessed, it had to do with spiritual things, relationships, experiences, memories, people, character, that kind of. I think that kind of thing leads the way, and I really think the Lord, when He tells us that seek first the kingdom, and these other things will come along. That's how you keep it straight. You say, these are the things that we're trying to accomplish. Yeah, we need to pay the bills, and we need to make certain that we're paying our employees and all those kinds of things so that they can own homes and live, good lives. But the first thing is this other intangible stuff.
Yeah,
Sure.
The one of the things that's carried us a lot, and why the players trust me, is I've communicated it clearly to every league we've ever participated in. We will never play on Sundays, in conflicting with church in our schedule, because as every admin I've ever spoken to, I'm never going to make my players pick between church and soccer. And I don't want my staff to pick between church and soccer. And one of the prayers that I pray for my family every day is that someday someone in my family is associated with removing professional sports from Sundays in our country.
That'd be a great legacy.
It's something concrete. It's something that I know can be done, and it's something that we need. So I don't know when it's one of those that I think several hundred years down the road still, but this is I think the first pebble or the first stitch in that tapestry that gets us to that point.
Well, that's a good note to end on. Is there anything that you want people to know so that they can follow you? I mean, you've talked about recording the games. Do you have like a YouTube channel that you put them on? Anything else?
Yeah, you can find us. Our website, first of all, is woodlandfc.com. You can find updates there on what's going on with the club. You can find us on Facebook, Woodland FC. You can find us on Instagram at Woodland FC Lions. And you can find us on YouTube at Woodland Football Club. We have about 800 subscribers on our YouTube page right now. And we put up every game, even the ones we lose. We put them up there. And which I can't say the same for a lot of teams, but
Wow.
But we put them up there, and we would just appreciate the support. Even a follow on social, something as simple as a subscribe and a follow gets us closer to one step closer to being more self-sustaining and not fully having to rely on the kindness of others. If you're in town hearing this, please come out to a game. We are a fraction of any professional game you could come and see in town, and our facilities are immaculate.
That's great. That's cool. So what I want you to do is get all those links to us.
No way. Well, you can't see there it is. That's you guys, right?
Yep, that's us.
Okay. Done.
So we're going to
nailed it.
We're going to have all those links in the show notes, and we encourage everybody listening to go and follow in every platform. That'd be great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Ross. You've been it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for listening to the Chris and Chris Talk Business Show. We have people like Ross on the show on a regular basis. We hope that you'll follow us as well and listen to the other content that we have. Anyway, that's enough for now. Thanks a lot, and bye-bye.